Last week was one of the biggest economic news events in recent memory, and it got very little fanfare here in the US. The Chinese have decided that it is no longer in their national interest to keep stockpiling foreign reserves, US dollars and euros, but largely US dollars, and they have capped that at 3.7 trillion. So what they have decided is what is known as decoupling their currency from the US dollar. What happens with this is that what you will start to see now, their currency will start rising and the US dollar will start going down. The Chinese are the largest foreign buyers of US treasuries. When they stop buying, the Federal Reserve will now be forced to purchase more of those bonds, which is what they're doing with their program known as quantitative easing. So there will not be any tapering of quantitative easing. They've talked about possibly doing it in December, maybe if not, maybe they'll do it in March. So the new Fed chairman, Janet Yellen, will not taper the quantitative easing. It's now impossible. In fact, it is more likely that she will increase the amount of quantitative easing. So what does this mean for you? Well, it means that prices of cheap products, for example like at Walmart, that you're used to buying very cheaply, are now going to start to go up. And this is going to happen for several reasons. One, the value of the dollar is going to go down at a much more rapid pace. As the Federal Reserve monetizes more of the debt through quantitative easing. They're already printing over $1 trillion a year, and that was on top of foreign purchases of the debt by China and other countries. Saudi Arabia and Japan are other big ones. But with China pulling out of that market, the Federal Reserve will now have to buy more of that. So they're going to increase even over the $1 trillion a year that they're printing already. So as they continue to inflate the money supply, the value of the dollar will go down, and it will take more dollars to buy the same amount of goods. Another reason that prices will start to go up is that products that you're used to getting cheaply, now there will be a domestic market in China. There will be some consumer competition in China. So over the last few years there's been, well, more than that, the last several decades, there's been a lot of inflation in China, largely because they have work to keep their currency low against the dollar in order to be able to export. Now they have decided it is not in their national interest to do that, and as they allow their currency to appreciate, there will be a domestic market in their country to buy those same products, so they won't have to ship as many to the United States. Another reason is that labor in China is not going to be as cheap as it was. So where a lot of these companies benefited from very cheap labor, that will no longer be the case and prices will start to go up. The good news is, and this is in the long run for the American side of this, is that you might see over the next so many years, it will take some time. These things can't happen overnight, but you will see a return of American manufacturing. At least there'll be a market for it. As the cost of production and labor goes up in China, there will now be a market there for US companies to produce here in the United States. This will take some time. You can't rebuild, productive factories overnight. We have pretty much completely wiped out our manufacturing capacity in this country, but it will take some time. But there will be a market there, and you will see some of those companies start to rebuild here and build those products here. So there won't be any quantitative easing, tapering over the next several months. So what does that mean for you? It means prepare for your dollar going down, prepare for prices going up, and also if you've got money in the stock market, it's my opinion to get it out, but in the short run it looks like there will still be a lot of money pumped into asset prices, the stock market as well as the housing market.